Neighborhood views from the air school us in a new perspective. Throughout our lives, we often yearn to be close up, but sometimes the farther away we get, the more we learn and appreciate. I'm speaking of distance, not only in physical space, but also in time. Consider today's pair of photos looking northwest at the West Seattle hub of Admiral Way and California Avenue. Taken from high up, they grant us perspective we rarely glean on the ground. They reveal how neighborhood icons can endure and how radically the rest of it can change. Recently, I received the then photo, an oversized mounted print from a Falls City friend. Cars and other elements dated between 1930 and 1932. The photographer is unknown, but the image's purpose is clearly to showcase its centered subject, Lafayette Elementary School. Built 1/2 block south of Admiral Way in 1893, before West Seattle became a city of its own in 1902 and annexed to Seattle in 1907, the schoolhouse was first called West Seattle Central, drawing students of all grades peninsula-wide. With a bell tower and spires, it took on the nickname of the Castle. Growth prompted an 8-room addition in 1908, and after West Seattle High School opened nearby in 1917, it focused on lower grades. In 1918, it was renamed for French General Lafayette, who aided the Continental Army in the early 1780s during the U.S. Revolutionary War. An April 1949 earthquake, fortunately during spring vacation, reduced much of the edifice to rubble. So in 1950, a much flatter Lafayette opened on the same site, featuring 9 rows of innovative brown sawtoothed rooftop skylights. The school presides at the center of our now, but both airborne views display much more that survives. At upper right is the narrow 1919 Portola Theater, predecessor of the expanded 1942 Admiral Theater, today a beloved landmark movie house. At lower right is the 1929 former 6th Church of Christ Scientist, also a landmark and home of the newly opened Washington State Black Legacy Institute. And at bottom center is the northwest tip of 1911 Hiawatha Playfield, an Olmsted-designed landmark, with 2 lone tennis players on its courts in each photo. What has changed in nearly 100 years? Oh my! Lot sizes are far smaller, houses and commercial buildings are more plentiful, and many of them much taller. The comparisons are seemingly endless, which is why drone shots and Google Earth are popular successors to the airplane or even balloon-based photos of yesteryear, says Ron Edge, an expert on local aerial photography. The interest has always been there, he says. People have just loved to see what their towns looked like from the air. In our first then photo, this northwest-facing aerial, circa 1930-1932, zeroes in on Lafayette Elementary School, built in 1893 along California Avenue in West Seattle and damaged beyond repair by a 1949 earthquake. In the foreground is the northwestern tip of Hiawatha Playfield, opened in 1911. A clumsy oval-shaped attempt at repair of this print appears at the upper right corner. In our next then photo, a ground-level view of West Seattle Central School after its 1908 northern addition. In our next then photo, large portions of Lafayette turned to rubble during an April 1949 earthquake. In our next then photo, earthquake-ravaged Lafayette Elementary was razed in August 1949. And our final then photo, students put on a Red Riding Hood play at West Seattle Central School circa 1900. Today, this modern aerial with a wider purview to take in more of the Admiral District, plus Puget Sound, shows several surviving city landmarks. The 1942 Admiral Theater, upper right center, the 1929 former Sixth Church of Christ Scientist, lower right center, and the 1911 Hiawatha Playfield, bottom center. Also today, Ron Edge has made and indexed high-res scans of hundreds of Seattle's early aerial photos. To see some of them, visit pauldorpat.com.